Hi everyone, I'm Queer-Ass Cat, and in case you didn't know, this week is Asexual Awareness Week. So, in honor of this awesome week dedicated to raising awareness about asexuality, I decided to try and make an FAQ video to, help people who are unfamiliar with asexuality learn more about it. But first, I should put out a little disclaimer. Everything that I say in this video is my opinion, my thoughts on the matter. I am not doing this as the face of the asexual community or anything, so I really do encourage other aces or asexuals to comment on this video, elaborate, add their own opinion, thoughts, and if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments too. Anyway, let's get started. What is asexuality? Asexuality is a sexual orientation. Someone who is asexual, or ace, is someone who does not experience sexual attraction to anyone. Isn't that celibacy? It's important to note that asexuality is a sexual orientation, whereas celibacy is a choice. Someone who is celibate experiences sexual attraction but chooses not to act upon it, whereas someone who is asexual does not experience sexual attraction anyway, so they are not choosing to not act on something because that something isn't there to begin with. Maybe you should get your hormones checked? First of all, I must say that I am not a doctor, so I will not pretend to give a medical answer to this question. However, I will say this. My sexual orientation is no more of a medical issue than yours or anyone else's. I'm 28. My hormone level now is without a doubt not the same as what it was, say, 15 years ago when I was 13. It's not the same as it was even 25 years ago. So my hormone level has changed, but my sexual orientation has not. I have always been asexual, and to suggest that that is going to change, maybe I should suggest that your sexual orientation will change. But sexual attraction is natural. Isn't asexuality unnatural? Since we're talking about natural versus unnatural, let's talk about nature. There is a hell of a lot of diversity in nature. So to suggest that anything is unnatural is kind of odd, because if you look at nature, you can find an example of pretty much anything. You can find animals who mate with only one other animal their entire life. You'll find animals who form no such connection, lifelong connection. You'll find animals who raise their offspring in a communal group so that it's never just one of them taking care of the offspring, it's everyone. You'll see animals where it's the male that bears the offspring. You'll find animals who mate with another animal of the same sex, of a different sex. You'll find animals who never get to mate at all because within that group only certain members have the right to mate at all. You'll find, seriously, if you look, you'll find everything. And that aside, if something is happening, on its own without any intervention, doesn't that make it by default natural? Asexuals don't choose to not experience sexual attraction. They just don't. And it's totally natural. So to say that it's unnatural, you can say that it's uncommon, which it honestly is, but unnatural, that's the wrong word, honestly. So if you're asexual, you're a virgin or never want to have sex, please do not make the assumption that just because someone is asexual, they're a virgin or they're repulsed by sex, they never want to have sex or anything like that. Asexuality is a sexual orientation, and like any sexual orientation, it is all about sexual attraction, who someone is sexually attracted to. Asexuals happen to not be sexually attracted to anyone, But that does not dictate what our body can or cannot do. We are no more physically incapable of having sex than anyone else. And as for our desire to have it or not, since when does what you want or don't want dictate your sexuality or sexual orientation? Yeah, no. Even a heterosexual can have sex with someone of the same gender or sex, and they're still heterosexual. An asexual can have sex and still be asexual. What you do, what actions you take, do not dictate whether you experience sexual attraction towards someone or not, because, sexual attraction totally is not a prerequisite for having sex. How can you know you're asexual if you've never had sex? How can someone know that they're heterosexual without having sex? How can someone know they're bisexual, homosexual, pansexual, any kind of sexual without having sex? The answer to that is that sexuality is not dictated by actions. It is dictated by sexual attraction, and you experience sexual attraction without having sex. If you see someone down the street, someone in your class, a best friend, and you feel sexually attracted to them, bam! You can probably figure out, based on that, your sexual orientation. You don't have to get in bed with someone to figure that out. So yes, an asexual can know that they're asexual without having ever had sex, because whether they have sex and they dislike it or like it is beside the point of whether or not they experience sexual attraction. Do asexuals masturbate? This is a really personal question, and it amazes me how many people ask asexuals this, and I'm totally not making up this question. It is a real question that people ask asexuals. And the answer to this question relates to the last question. Asexuality is a sexual orientation. It does not make anyone physically incapable of masturbating. Anyone can masturbate. As to whether or not they do, what does that have to do with anything? You can masturbate, not masturbate, still be asexual, still be heterosexual, can still be anything, because actions do not dictate whether or not you experience sexual attraction. I have a low or high sex drive. Can I still be asexual? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Your sex drive, in other words, libido, is your desire for having sex. And that, again, has no bearing on whether or not you experience sexual attraction. If you don't experience sexual attraction, then you may be asexual, period. So, whether or not you have a desire for sex, all sexual attraction does is maybe point that desire towards a specific person. So, if you have that desire for sex, maybe if you're an asexual, it's not pointed towards anyone. And if you don't have that desire for sex, so what? You can be a heterosexual and have a low sex drive. You can be homosexual and have a low sex drive. You can be asexual and have a high sex drive. Your desire for sex, whether you masturbate, have sex, whatever, that doesn't decide your sexual orientation. Sexual attraction does. What about relationships? Love. Do asexuals never fall in love? It's really important to remember that love is a very, 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 very complex thing. There are many things that go into love, the least of which is sexual attraction. Yes, many people do fall in love with someone and have sexual attraction towards that someone, but it is not a prerequisite for love. There are many, many things that go into love, and asexuals are totally capable of experiencing all of those other things, and thus are totally capable of falling in love, just like anyone else. It just doesn't involve the sexual attraction part. It involves other types of attraction. What are other types of attraction? Other types of attraction include, but are not limited to, romantic, aesthetic, sensual, intellectual, and the list just goes on. There are so many things involved in attraction, so many things that someone can be attracted to in someone else. And as I said before, asexuals are completely capable of experiencing those other types of attraction. Asexuality only deals with sexual attraction. In fact, asexuals have specific terms that are used to describe who someone is romantically attracted to, and they correspond to the terms used for sexual attraction. So, for example, if someone is sexually attracted to the same gender or sex, then they're called homosexual. But if someone is romantically attracted to someone of the same gender or sex, they're called homoromantic. If someone is romantically attracted to someone of any gender or any sex, they're called panromantic, just as the same, but in regards to sexual attraction, are called pansexuals. If someone is not romantically attracted to anyone, then just like with sexual attraction, that would be asexual. With romantic attraction, that would be aromantic. So all of those prefixes, homo, hetero, bi, pan, a, can be attached to romantic to describe a romantic orientation. And I have a video on that on my channel. Check that out. What if someone rarely experiences sexual attraction, or only experiences it under certain circumstances? The asexual community isn't only made up of asexuals. There is a spectrum, and other people on the asexual spectrum, as it's called, are known as gray-asexual, if, for example, they rarely ever experience sexual attraction, so essentially, they are asexual until those few times that they do experience sexual attraction. That is called gray-asexuality. And if, for example, someone is pretty much asexual until certain circumstances happen, for example, they become really close to someone, they form a really strong emotional bond, that person may be known as a demisexual. You don't have to never in your life experience sexual attraction to be part of the asexual community. Where can I find out more? If you're interested in asexuality and would like to find out more, there are so many places you could go. The internet and Google is your friend. I am going to put a lot of links in the description of this video. I highly recommend checking out AVEN, the Asexual Visibility and Education Network, which is home to the largest asexual community and forum. I also recommend Tumblr and the hashtag asexual. I also recommend YouTube. There are lots of asexual vloggers on here. And yeah, please do look into it more if it interests you, and feel free to leave comments, feedback, suggestions for future videos. And thank you for watching. Bye.